Live from our Coronation Park studios in Babane, it has just gone 10 o'clock Central Africa time. Good evening and welcome to the news at 10, brought to you by Eswatini Television. I'm Sunny Boy, on alongside the Makabe Songambudo on Sign Language. Great to have you with us. Let's begin here, your headlines tonight. His Majesty King Eswatini III is officially opened and commissioned to seize the plaza in Hluti and further officially opened Hosea Constituency Centre. The Prime Minister Russell Dlamini has called upon government, employers and trade unions to work together in addressing all labour issues in the country. And Tukoswa says government must act to finalise the Unemployment Act, amongst other laws, to ensure the well-being of workers. On our first story, let's begin here. His Majesty King Eswatini III has officially opened and commissioned to seize a plaza in Hluti. Speaking at the event, His Majesty revealed that such projects should be taken care of by communities so that the future generation of the Kingdom of Eswatini will greatly benefit from them. The complex is worth 30 million emalangeni.
Joyfulness and excitement was expressed during the arrival of His Majesty King Eswatini III at the Usizo Plaza in Hluti. Upon arrival at the complex, His Majesty unveiled a plaque. This complex belongs to a Ngumalo family that has seen it necessary that His Majesty's vision of developing the kingdom into the first world status and also the Ngwe mandate becomes successful. His Majesty was taken on a tour of the complex, which has about 18 shops. The King visited ShopRite supermarket, whereby the staff of the shop warmly welcomed His Majesty. The King also blessed the shop by shopping. Another shop that was visited by His Majesty is the Pep Store. The King also blessed this shop by shopping. His Majesty visited other shops such as MTN and many other shops. This project has costed approximately 30 million emalangeni. It has employed about 100 people, which is another mandate that has been given out by His Majesty King Eswatini III, which is employment creation to develop the country's economy and poverty reduction. Addressing Emaswati at Hluti, His Majesty King Eswatini III revealed that it is important that employment is created throughout the country so that Emaswati are able to get job opportunities.
Kwendele ukuthi sive lesilapha singabe solo sithi hawu siyawufuna emathuba le nale lapha nje sekuyabonakala ukuthi njoba kuhle kuphoswa ema-industries le nale nalapha kufuneka sekutholakale leyo industry lengabonakala ukuthi ito setup la kungene sive sisebende khona la madudane ngoba nanivukela madudane lapha kuba malula kunokuhamba uyofuna umsebenzi le ekhashane ukhanze ukuthi soenda ema-rentals ubhadala ema-rentals iminyaka yonke kanzi nangabe umadudane nelikhaya utawu-investor kulelikhaya ukhulise lelikhaya kwendele ukuthi nebantwana nalaba ulandzela bakhanze impilo ingiyo bekunene kepha ngekonke lokho kuyakwendeka ngalo libambisano bekunene sitfokotile ke nasi tonivusela lapha nilungisela okunyendi Solomane nihalalisa emikhosini ngetetfulo nalokwa nalokwa nathi siyabonga sithi kwanze nalapho nithethe khona bekunene.
His Majesty also revealed that it is important that after such projects are blessed and commissioned, the community should take care of such structures for the benefit of the future generation.
Kumqoka ke imisebenzi lenjengale nayibusiswako njoba ibusiselwa ukuthi nini into inakelela ngoba umsebenzi onjena uzobe ube impumelelo uba impumelelo ngokuthi lesive siunakekele siuphathe kahle kwathi kuye ukuthi lemisebenzi iyawusita titukulwane netitukulwane ebekunene.
The inception of this project is 2017 and construction began in 2019. The business is expected to grow as there is a plan which is put in place of constructing a petrol station next to the complex. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia with Tabiso Dlamini and Sambulo Masugu at Hluti.
His Majesty King Eswatini III has officially opened to Hosea Constituency Centre and other projects that have been funded through the Regional Development Fund. The total amount for all these projects is 60 million. Speaking during the event, His Majesty King Eswatini III said the main aim of the Regional Development Fund is to develop various communities in all the 4 regions so that the Kingdom of Eswatini develops into a first world country.
A Maswati from Hosea and surrounding communities came out in numbers to witness the arrival of His Majesty King Eswatini III. Sounds of joy were heard when His Majesty arrived at Hosea constituency. This constituency is located in the Shiselweni region and it serves 7 chiefdoms. Present during the visit were Emakosigati to His Majesty, the royal family and many other dignitaries. Addressing the community of Hosea, His Majesty King Eswatini III said, though Hosea is located in the outskirts of main towns, but it is important to check on them and see how life is treating them.
Njoba umsebenzi kutakton vusela kutobuka nempilo njoba sibuka live lonke kusilive lonke lihle tinjani litindile yini njoba ukhanza ukuthi lempilweni kunalokwa nalokwa lokungayihlalisi kahle impilo silapha ke sitokwati kufaka dolocina ukuthi cha nani noma nisetinzabeni noma nikuphi anikakhohlokala live litawuba semva kwenu lenisekele ebekunene.
The king and Ingwenyama also revealed that it is important to always take care of the elderly. The king announced the construction of houses for elderlies who are living in houses that are in a very critical state.
Kungaleso sigaba ke kusinasi la eHosea enkundleni singakhohlwa ukuthi bantu labadala lesinabo bogogo bomkhulu sifanele sibanakelele sibagcine kahle banakelelekwe ngesigaba lesingiso nentindzaweni labahleli khona kubonakale esigabeni sekutheni indzawo levele ingiso sigaba lesingiso bekunene njoba nje kutabusika kuba neliqhwa bekunemvula kubonakalise ukuthi le lokho labakiko nabo bajabule kuleto tinsuku uNkulunkulu lakabaphetona ukuthi baqhubeke nabo basahleti kahle emhlabeni bekunene kuthi ke namuhla nini bekunene nasilapha eHosea sinthulela ukuthi kutawubukwa bogogo nabomkhulu lababonala ukuthi awu bavele simo asisiso lesikahle sisesimeni lesimatima ngeke ukuthi bayawuvele baphiwe tindlu letilishumi bekunene.
His Majesty the King and Ingwenyama also blessed and commissioned the projects that were funded with the Regional Development Fund.
Na lo msebenzi lona lesihlangene ngawo njengoba sitobusisa inkundla nenangu nalo msebenzi waka RDF kube ngumsebenzi lomuhle ngoba ubite imali naseyihlanganiswa nje iphosa yafika lapha ku 60 million bekunene le investment le enhle kakhulu enkundleni eHosia akugcini ke lapha njoba nje sibukwa lemisebenzi sitawubusisa lenkundla ngiphindze ngibusise nana imisebenzi le ndawo sebenza ngayo le misebenzi lena lenendelwa yona ngileli gatsha la ka RDF ndona lelibuke ukuthi sive nasithi khandla ngekubuka imisebenzi kubonakale ukuthi onke lama means latsingekile abakhona bayakhona ukuthi bawende kahle umsebenzi bekunene na sikhuluma ngesigaba se First World ufuna bonke baye experience bayive ingabi nganhlanye njoba nje naku nje umsebenzi wale mahovisi etinkundla kukuleso sigaba sekuthi kupronyotwa yona indzaba yaka First World ukuthi nasiletha ema programs abonakala ukuthi advance le kakhulu njengayo lenkundla lokho kuyasita kakhulu bekunene.
There are about 22 associations that have benefited under the Regional Development Fund at Hosia. These associations have projects such as trucks for transporting goods in and out of the kingdom and even within the country. Some trucks are for doing huge development projects, tractors for farming and for doing huge development projects as well, transport for transporting the public, tents for rental and many other projects. His Majesty King Eswatini III blessed and commissioned the Constituency Center as well. The state-of-the-art reconstructed constituency offices uphold the standard of His Majesty's vision of having the country developed into a first world country. The center has a newly built hall, which the King also handed over to the community. The community will now be able to meet, brainstorm, and discuss development ideas and plans for the constituency. There is also a newly built clinic that will be of great service to the community. The community will now be able to get health services at a nearby facility. His Majesty the King also announced the tarring of the Hlatikuli Hosia and Hosia Hluti roads. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia with Sambulo Masugu at Hosia.
The Prime Minister Russell Dlamini has called upon government, employers and trade unions to work together in addressing all labour issues in the country. The Premier said these when addressing workers at Simunye during a Workers' Day commemoration event organised by Eswatini.
The Prime Minister Russell Dlamini was received with song and dance at Simunye during a Workers' Day commemoration event organised by Eswatini. Eswatini President Mashumi Shongwe lambasted employers who do not want workers to be organised. He says such employers are not adhering to ILO's conventions, Convention 87 and 98. Shongwe says the tripartite structures in the kingdom must be effective. When addressing the workers, the Prime Minister assured all workers in the country that government is addressing working conditions and remuneration.
Angimemetheke namhlanje and call for a new era in industrial relations, an era where businesses and trade unions, baqashi ema-employers nahulumende ababukani njengetitha, kepha babukane njengema-partners. Bangabukani njengetitha, kepha babukane njengabantu lokufanele babambane kuze kuthuthuke sisebenzi, kuthuthuke umqashi, kuthuthuke uhulumende, kuthuthuke live. Ngithemba ukuthi naletinye inhlangano titawufunza kulo msebenzi walamhla nakuyo le model ye-Eswatini. Lokhu kutawendeka uma vele siphakamise i-transparency, sipromote ukuhloniphana, i-respect, sipromote ke nekuhlonishwa kwemthetho kuma-relations ethu nebaqashi bethu.
The Prime Minister says the Ministry of Labour will soon conclude the national minimum wage and other pieces of legislation that seek to improve the lives of workers. I am Lincoln Gule at Simunye.
The Trade Union Congress of Eswatini Tukoswe says government must act to finalize the Employment Act, the Unemployment Benefit Act, amongst other laws, to ensure that well-being of workers. That was stated by the organization Secretary General Mduduzi Gina during the Workers' Day celebrations held at the Salesian grounds.
The Trade Union Congress of Eswatini Tukoswe Secretary General Mduduzi Gina explains that the legislation currently being advocated for by the organization will transform workers' lives once enacted into law.
Sinanje siyakwethabela ukuthi uhulumende so isubmitile i-employment bill.
He says these bills include the Employment Bill, the Convention of the Provident Fund, the Industrial Relations Act, as well as the Unemployment Benefit Act. Gina says these laws will help safeguard workers' rights. The Minister of Labour and Social Security Assistant Labour Commissioner Kingdom Mamba says workers should take proactive approach in resolving issues through dialogue.
Sinanje singulumende kutifisela ukuthi tiselebrate kahle, diphephe, dikhulumisane kahle emsebentini.
He says workers must engage in discussions on terms and conditions that will improve their welfare. Workers who attended the event expressed their frustrations and shared hopes that their welfare issues will be addressed. They say May Day gives them direction, as it is a time to discuss the challenges faced by workers and to receive feedback from unions on accountability, including how funds have been utilized. What stood out during the Workers' Day celebration organized by Tukoswe was that political party representatives who normally speak at the event were left out of the program. Reporting Fortune Langamandla Manzini.
Staying with May Day stories, as today marks the Workers' Day, a public holiday, economist Temegos Dube says workers play a crucial role in driving economic development. Dube further elaborates on the important contribution workers make towards the growth of the country's economy.
We appreciate the significant contribution that the workers put into production in the country, because without them, there is no production. Without them, GDP is low. Without them, we're talking in a negative growth of the economy. So they are contributing significantly. They are so important. Sometimes they might feel like they are ignored and nobody cares about them. But I can say, as an economist, that they are very, very important and significant. The economy cannot thrive, cannot survive without them. We appreciate them, and we just thank you for all that you do in the country. Well, we do have some concerns. One of the concerns is the issue of brain drain, where a highly skilled labor, they leave the country for many reasons. It can be the working conditions that are not conducive. Well, most important things in working environment that makes a person happy in the working environment is the pay, the benefits, and how they relate with other employees and managers. That's very important, that working environment be conducive so a person can work freely and produce and be as creative as possible. Psychologists state that a good work environment produces good results. So it's imperative for organizations to make sure that the working environment is quite a conducive one.
The United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, says in partnership with government, the agency is turning to technology and innovation to ensure safer pregnancies and childbirth across the country. This was said by UNFPA Eswatini Head of Office, Margaret Twala.
Maternal and neonatal health continues to be a national priority in Eswatini, where challenges such as access to quality care and skilled health personnel still pose a significant risk to women and newborns. The United Nations Population Fund Eswatini Head of Office Margaret Twala reaffirmed UNFPA's commitment to improving maternal and neonatal health in Eswatini through the use of technology and innovation.
May is a very important month for UNFPA because we celebrate midwives. Midwives are very important in ensuring that women do not die due to preventable causes. So we remain committed as UNFPA to work with the UN, with the government to ensure that the recently launched strategy that the country has come up with on reproductive, maternal, newborn and adolescent health is implemented, and will provide our technical support towards training midwives so that women who come during antenatal care, during pregnancy and post-delivery receive care of quality. It's a multi-sectoral call. Everyone has a responsibility to play to save the lives of women during pregnancy and beyond.
The Ministry of Health reports that the whole region leads in maternal deaths, and Eswatini records from 26,000 to 29,000 births per year. Reporting, Samgalsiwe Kozak, Yanim Sibi, Mbabane.
The Ministry of Commerce, the Honourable Mangoba Khumalo, says the ministry, together with the Ministry of Home Affairs, is reviewing the Immigration Act to create a formal residency pathway for investors. The Honourable Minister says a clear and secure path to residency for investors is a step towards ensuring long-term economic development.
The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade says government is taking steps to attract more foreign investment by opening up a new pathway to residency. The Honourable Minister of Commerce, Mangoba Khumalo, says government is currently reviewing the Immigration Act to include a new provision aimed at investors.
We are at an advanced stage working with the Ministry of Home Affairs of tabling an amendment to our Immigration Act in the country. So we are at an advanced stage of tabling in Parliament the revised Immigration Act in Eswatini. Within that act, we have built in a provision for what he calls an investment visa, but it is what we call a pathway to residence through investment. What that will look like is if you have invested to a particular threshold as a business owner or as a director, and you're going to hire X number of people, and you're going to make a meaningful contribution to our economy, there will be then a pathway that will be defined in law to make you a resident in the country, not a citizen, but a resident. And I think that takes care of that particular question. So I'm expecting that before the end of this year, this should have been passed into law, and it will take effect in the following years.
The Honourable Minister further said stakeholders in the business and immigration sectors are closely watching the review, which could mark a significant shift in the country's investment landscape, whereas the bill is to be tabled in Parliament before the end of the second session of the 12th Parliament. Reporting, Samgalsiwe Koza, Mbabane.
Come back in our sports news. The Eswatini Women Football Association is yet to make a decision as to who will represent the country in this year's COSAFA Champions League qualifiers between the Ingwenyama Cup champions and the National League champions. Now, before the league champions was a team to represent the country, as there was only one competition.
Eswatini Women's Football Association is yet to make a decision of which team under the women category that will be representing the country for this year's COSAFA Women's Championship qualifiers. This follows that this year the association now has two competitive competitions, being the Ingwenyama Cup Women Tournament and the Women's National League. In the past, teams like Manzini Wanderers ladies team and Young Buffaloes ladies team have enjoyed the benefit of representing the country by virtue of having lifted the Women's National League. This year's Envoys will also be a competitive side, as they would have competed in both in the Ingwenyama Women's Cup competition and under the Women's National League. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
That's how we hit the home stretch of the news at 10 at Eswatini TV. Before we go, a quick reminder of your top stories tonight. His Majesty King Mswati III is officially opened and commissioned to Usizo Plaza in Hluti, and further officially opened to Hosiya Constituency Centre. The Prime Minister Russell Dlamini has called upon government, employers and trade unions to work together in addressing all labour issues in the country. And Tukoso says government must act to finalize the Employment Act, the Unemployment Benefit Act, amongst other laws, to ensure the well-being of workers. And that's how we come to the conclusion of the news at 10 here at Eswatini TV. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. Up next, we cross over to the Weather Center for a detailed weather report from us and the team here at Eswatini TV. For now, it's been a pleasure. Good night and God bless.